We signed on at Park October 1953, me and our Jeff. I worked on railway, on put plate, firing, and our Jeff worked in signal box. What I said to him were, when I got to 17 and a half, I said to him, I'm going in pit. I said, there's only me and there to him, and there's 6 on us. There's only me and there and it's money. If I have to go in the army, national service, there's only these left at home earning. I said, so I'm going in pit. So he says, if they're going in, I'm going with it. So we went to him and we said to my father, we're going in pit. And he said, I don't want you to go in pit. I said, well, we're going in, father, because if I go in the army, he can't maintain family. He can't earn enough. Because my dad worked at Puttrell down here. Furnace Hill. Yeah. And he got his pelvis crushed. Yeah, so and his eyes went, so he had to come out.
There were no assistants then in them days, were there? Nobody give you a...
Oh no, Horrocks owned them. At that. He owned pit like. Sitwell's land, weren't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we went in pit, but when we joined up, signed up, we were halfway through a session because I got to go to Markham and do 4 months training.
Coalfields.
Yeah, well, when we signed on, that session were halfway through. Yeah. So we had to work in lamp cabin at Markham until next session started, and then we went in then. Yeah. So we did actually 6 months there, 2 months in lamp cabin, 2 months training. Then we come back to Park. Jeff worked at Loader. I did a bit, and then I went into workings like. Yeah. Jeff, he were at Loader a long while.
What were first workings that went down?
He were in Flockton seam. Flockton, But Flockton were like, you had your bottoms, then you had a thin inferior coal that you called fertile, then you had middles, and then you had a band of clod that went, and then a foot of coal again. But what they used to do, they used to leave that foot up because roof were bad above it. So they left that up, out roof up. And then when...
Was that on firing, and were they on stints then?
Were they on what?
Were they on a stint?
They were on rigid steel and props like that.
Did they measure it out for you to...
Stint. 8 yard and 2 foot.
8 yard and 2 foot.
Yeah. Well, it were only a 4 foot seat cut there. But on the chain at cutter, if I put another box on it, it did me another 6 inch.
Aye.
And that's what they used to do. Because they filled the coal for 4 foot sticks. And every inch of coal that seam went forward, they got a shilling on the money. So if it went 10 inch, if they filled another 10 inch of coal, full length at wall, men on it got 10 shilling. Yeah. So, that's how it were.
You know when you had your stint, how many tons would you say in one stint average?
They reckon, they always told us that a cubic yard of coal weighed a ton. Right? So you'd have to reckon that up. Now when we went to Moor, their cut was 6 foot.
That were even more.
Yeah. So if they put another box on, they were cutting 6 foot seats. Yeah. But their seam were a metre high, whereas Park were only a yard. But when Flockton finished, they come out of there and went up into Shavery, which were only a yard. Yeah. And then they stopped in that until latter end of pit, they went down into, they were at in it, Ireland. I can't remember, it was 5 foot thick anyway. I joined Mines Rescue Me and I, Brian, when we were at Moor. I did 8 year and he did 12 year because I left. Went down Norfolk to work on a private estate. Couldn't stand backbiting. Come back into the pit. But I drove all machines. Well, no, I did all machines. Drove all machines. Well, when they'd work Flockton out, they was get water down there and all. And
That were on one's unit, were it? Were it on one's unit?
no, Flockton went down, right down. Then one's unit were at top of that. It went on, and then Shavery them they went up again to get into Shavery. But that one's there. That could. Well, I'd only got, it was like a 4-inch girder, and what they used to do, they used to cut them to length at seam, and then they used to take some at web out, burn some at web out, and then like at H, and then they used to bend them all like that, so it was flat, and that's where the bar fit then, because I had a 7-foot root bar, what they call Chesterfield bar. And it was 7 foot long and it was like a W, shaped like a W. Well, what they used to do, they used to get it prop like that when they were rigid steel. They used to get it like that, they get this, and then they put the footing in it like that, held it, lift the bar up, they get the pinner and shove it between bar and prop, and then it would be staking and then they'd hammer it till it went up level. And then they put the gob leg up then, what they call the gob leg. That was one they were belt track run. They only put 2 props under each bar, and they were that go between the gob leg and the face leg was a 4-foot track for the belt. And then they had that other piece where cutter used to go through and undercut it. Borer would come, bore it, and then shot firers come on and fired it. It was interesting, but dangerous. But on that one day...
Is that where Ronnie got killed?
Who?
Ronnie Lowe.
No, I think he was in Shaver, I think. But, but anyway, that one day, that could really put the prop on the piece of wood, and they could watch roof flooring and crushing pad. That's how bad that. Anyway, he come in one day. I'll tell you where we're running it. Alan Rowbottom. Right, belts broke, so they shouted on one day. Shouted, "Go and get your snap, belts broke." So all used to, tailgate men, because I got the main gate and the air gate, tailgate men, half of them used to come back there, main gate men used to go to other half. Right, so they coming off like that. Now Alan and Rowbottom were about 4 stints up from main gate. So they were, like I told you, middles and all that, they got all the middles off barring Alan and he left a yard. He were a bit slower. And he'd left a yard in. I can see it now because I was on Bolton watching them. And they coming off, God almighty. They went that road, last man, as he stepped past the yard of coal, he come in. He come dead in. If that belt hadn't broke, they'd have got killed. It would have come, nobody would have known. There was no one in and out. And just as they come past that, he'd come in. But that yard of coal stopped it coming to the main gate. If that hadn't been on, it would have come to out at main gate and killed all them. That's how bad it were on there. Coconut Grove.
Now we were 15's unit. That's when I first started on 15.
Well, let's get this right. Because when Shavery packed him, we went into deep parts, didn't we? Yeah, that's when they went down drift again, didn't they?
That was some way down.
We come out at Shavery, they'd worked out. that hill there, going into Staveley,
Yeah.
Athorn Hill they call it, I think. I'm sure it is. Right? When we were on 28th, me, Jeff and Brian, I know we used to go to all bad work,
Oh, wow.
didn't we? And we used to do all bunkers and everything, didn't we?
Yeah.
We'd got to go up there because he'd had a fall. Anyway, we sat there having a snap. And we were sat there and we could hear trains going on top of us.
Ah.
That's that, where they got on that bridge there. Yeah.
I can remember that.
Ah.
I can remember hearing them up there.
We,
It was 1 o'clock going or whatever.
well, when we went up there, 30s, I remember 30s. Right. Ah. Well, there weren't enough air coming through for them. So what they said they wanted us to do, what they did, they built a slit at the 30s main gate down, and it was going to break into that one, what you call it, Eckington, pit shaft, right? Well, Eckington, they could get out of Eckington to get into Ireland pit, right? Well, they got 3 teams of men working in, and they got a little Mindev in it, and they were ready for breaking through. And we got there this morning, me, Jeff and Bry, and he says, because we never knew where we were going, we didn't have a regular job like others. If out happened, we had to go to it. Anyway, he says, let's go and see him. I said, what for? He says, let's go to go and see him. Anyway, he says, there's got to go to that slit. They're ready for breaking through. Dad's got to go and drive the machine because they're freaking on them, sucking it through. Yeah. Anyway, I went, and it was only about that much to go, and we bored it. I had to have a harness on me with a chain on it, with a bracket up to the roof, so that when I broke through, air won't suck me off the machine. And that's the God's honest truth.
Oh,
and Cage come up from Hartington. Can they remember that? I can't, what's his name? He was safety officer at Park at last off. Then he went to work at Ireland.
You call him Collins?
What?
Collins?
I can see him now. And when we broke through, they come up on Cage. And Cage stopped bang opposite. And when I saw his face and I seen it, I said, hey, up. What's that doing on there? He says, we've come through into Ireland, into Hartington, because we knew you were going to break through. And they broke through into that so we could pull more air for them units around. I could write you a book on it.
I know they could. And you went from there, where to then? Did you work on 28th unit? 25s, 28s?
We didn't actually work with any other men.
What about getting out any bad work on there?
28th. We went to 30s. We went to 30s when it had finished. And I'll tell you how it happened. Me, Jim, Jeff and Bry are in main plane. And because they were now for a special to go and do, they had us cleaning tops of pans off. I can't. Jim Faraday was it? He was manager, Jim Faraday. Well, we're there cleaning pans, and he come down, and he sat down, and we looked at him, and got a laugh. And he says, "You all right?" I said, what's up, like? He says, I wanted to go to 30th main gate, have a look at it, come back and tell me what you want. I says, what for? He says, area salvage team been, and they refused to do it. He says, so, there you go, have a look, come back and tell me. So I goes, I got on phone, tell them, because nobody up here, see, only deputy went, beginning at shift, afternoon needs. Just walk, make sure everything's right, main gate, then go down tailgate, making air and everything's right. So I goes on, I need to go no, rump, and it was Dosco over there, and it was that deep in water. And they couldn't have electric on to pump it out because water were running on switches. So they'd have to switch all power off. And does they know how we got that water out of that heading? We emptied fire buckets and we got 5-gallon drums. The notes flexor duck, don't they? When they put sealants on, then flexor duck, they could advance us. Heating went, didn't they? We hung one of them up, like that, put it up Brower Hill and run it out. And we emptied heading with buckets and that's the God's honest truth. Fitter come, Tommy Dawes, he says, they've asked me how long it's going to take us to get this Dosco out of here. And he says, I've told them a month. I said, a month? I said, we want to be off here, but we're in a month. And does they know, he come on Monday morning, and me, Jeff and Bryce stripped that Dosco down. And Jeff was taking it off as we loaded it, and we got the Dosco out. Face, there were so many waited to come on, and trap shearer. And it had come in so far up wall. Can they remember him that come on telly with Garden as well that time? He were a deputy, come from Brimington. Big, that's him. Right. Well, it had lowered and trapped them all, so it were only that high. And I crawled up it, and I crawled as far as I could, counting what shocks we'd be able to get off. When we went back, when we got Dosco off, we ripped our top of shearer and put little 8-7 arches, but we cut so much off them, and we ripped our top on it, set these little arches. We stripped shearer down and got that off. And then area men, they come and got what few chocks they could, then about another 15. And that were on 30s, that.
I can remember that.
But best thing we ever did at Park was that bunker site.
That were right site, that.
And does they know, all we had there was that little Mindef for shoveling it. And it was 18'6" high and 22 foot wide. And the original gate was 10 foot high and 14 foot wide. That's when it was new. When weight had come on, it went down, didn't it? And we ripped that out, me, Jeff and Bry, with that little Mindev and a borer. And that's what, and we did that.
And all that big heavy steel work, blinking hell.
And then, when we'd done it, all head people from area in the turn come to look at it. One day, we had a manager and an under manager come. Jeff, he used to be down there. He did all pulling with turf for lifting girders. And me and Brian did all boring and firing. And he come and he said to Jeff, I just set these girders, kid. He said, why, who are you? He said, no, they told us you're setting them today. 9:08 this morning. We start at 7 on there. He says, they've told us you're going to set them today. We've come to watch you, how you set them. He says, they're too late, we've set them. That's the truth. That's the truth, that. And does you know how we set them? When we put the first up, don't forget the nose, they were 10-inch by 8-inch, there'd be half a ton in each of them girders, at least.
Maybe more.
Right? It took, when we set off on archers, because it was, and we went up in stages with archers, and when we got to what height we wanted, we had to go on to girders, square work. And it took 10 on us to set fest girders, 10 men. And when we set them, I said we're going to have to learn to set these ascents because they don't want to help us. And I laid in bed that night, Billy, and I thought, how the bloody hell can we set them girders? And do you know where I come up with? Skyhooks.
Right.
We put roof bolts in. They could get 6 foot or 4 foot, couldn't they? Yep. And we put 4-footers up, and we got to get them girders on 18-foot-6 on the top of that.
Don't you? Like
to get up there. Yeah. Well, it was about 11-foot-6 to the top of the table.
How long did it take to do that? How long?
I'll tell you how long it took us one day. Well, how long it took us. Yeah. Can you remember Len Harris? There were Len Harris and Tom, deputies, 2 brothers. Our Tom, our Len. Yeah. That's what you said it. Len, he was on afternoon deputy.
Yeah.
Day shift had gone, we'd come on after, right?
Yeah.
No, I tell a lie. The girders come at end of shift on tram, and Len says, your girders have come. I said, a bit late, aren't they? I says, we'll stop an hour. And we stopped an hour and set them girders in that hour. And that's the God's honest truth. The God's honest truth.
I had about, how long did I work with you for? I had 6 months of it, were you? When
I did 33 years in pit.
I'm on about me when they went as a trainee with you.
Oh, we were doing that junction on whatever level it were. When they kept Rodney Robinson were getting it that one, and I kept dropping bits.
He broke his leg, did he? That was Ronnie.
Bloody hell. I'm not kidding. My God. But I'll tell you now, you couldn't have wished for a better team of men to work with.
Nope.
Because they wouldn't, God, at High Moor, there were Scotchmen come down the nose from Scotland, when he shook pits in Scotland. And after there's some come out of Wales and all, we had them all up there. Geordies, they got them all up there. And, what's his name now? He was a thick-set bloke. Monaghan and Marshall, Jimmy Marshall. Right? Well, we were at High Moor. Because you only cut 8-foot wall. We filled it out where they wanted a bit more coal for other men. So what did Jimmy do? He got a machine, floor cutter, right? Without to have a staker, then it run rope out with staker, didn't they? You were going to cut so much coal so they'd have enough. It weren't a machine, man. Do you know what it is? They worked on racks, put the power in, then worked on racks. And it wound roping. And as he's coming like this, and he's backing up. Of course, staker's here, like that, foot rope. He's backing up. He feels it. He can't get out. And they're bawling and shouting. Jimmy Munn, and he's coming on him like that, getting him like that. Shout, Jimmy Munn, damn out not to know him, Eckington bloke. Jimmy Munn, right? He run 2 or 3 stints up and switched power off. When we come up with stretcher from main gate, Jimmy's there and his ears like that. Another half a minute, he would have discussion. Anyway, we got him out, put him on stretcher, and we carried him out. And I said, "They're all right, Jimmy. We're going to get you out, all right." Well, if I carried anybody out in them days, they could go home. But when we got him out, the foreigners took him out. When we got him out, we thought we were going to go home. No, get off back in. They sent us back in, like. He never went on face again.
No.
He worked on haulage.
Can't blame him.
You were lucky. Your Ronnie, he were in Packhold. I can't remember what unit. I'll tell you what day it were. It were on his son's 5th birthday. Because your Joan
May 16th.
Your Joan said to him, "Are you having any to do in a party for kids?" He said, "Are you going to stop, Ronnie?" He said, "No, I'll go to work."
First time he'd been on any kid's birthday, that as well.
And he went to work and got killed. Crying shame.
You're only 29.
Well, I won't forget that.
That risk I took when they went.
You were on H's. You were on H's at time with us. That's when they were shutting up at pit, that. Because we went off for H's time over. Because they offered you 5 pits to go to. Because in that, they got a group and there were 5 pits. And what it were, they couldn't poach another man out of that group. Other pits could, that were in the group, but not anybody else. That's how it worked then. But I was training lads and filling and setting timber. I was training them on a 25-year-old. There was a bloke worked at pit than us, Harry Smart, and he went Bolton. That's when, long before your time, when we were lads trained, then I was on Boltons and that. And he had a monkey. He got a monkey as a pet. He had so many. Lived on.
Those Gaunt's butchers. Did he live in that big house up there?
Now I think he had so many sons, like, and they used to get lads that used to torment his bloody life out because they got to ring like that and then talk, and he used to ring him up. "Hello, Barry, how's the monkey going on?" He used, doesn't know what he used to do with him. But those that never sat in that general. We're all met now, that when we were in Ploughton and that. But they were a general, and he held about 80 men. And when they were waiting for cars coming down, the old car road, they all used to start singing. And then Dennis come from Marsh Lane, big bloke, he were on cars, where he used to stand at entrance where they come out, and he used to count them as they coming out, and then he put his arm up, no more. And they'd all be on cars, and he'd go, afternoon shift this. As soon as he got on cars, they'd all start, switch the lead start, they start crawling up like this, and then they start jumping, because there were 6 men in the car, 3 and a 3. They used to jump on and get on. And there's no them that couldn't get on. You know what they used to do?
Right rope.
Used to ride rope, and they're not bell wires, because there were bell wires then. He had a stick with a piece of hacksaw blade, as you could go like that and cross them and stop it. 1 to stop, 2 to go in by, 3 to come out. And they used to stand on rope like that, get out of wires and ride rope. And they got to go a fault and then main drift that took it at pit bottom, and they used to ride it. Well, the nose, before they put new returning, that unit, they were there in car park, weren't it? Right. Air used to go to Mum Q shaft. Fan, well, they called it ladder shaft. because there were ladders in it. And do you know what someone used to do? Go round back at Ollie's house and climb up ladders.
To get out.
Well, somebody must have seen them, then he started waiting for them. Can you remember little Alec Malinowski?
Can I? That was Alec, a lovely fella.
And other bloke with him. That were him, then, or he were one of them. Wassel.
What's the like?
Don't forget the nose, it was Wassel. And Joe, he were on ambulance job. But St John's ambulance. Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson, he was brother-in-law to Reg Lane. They married two sisters. Right. Right. Well, they knows when Dave Dixon got killed.
Yeah, he took him out, didn't he?
He went right Shearer's room, didn't he? He brought him out in plastic bags. It was Wassel and Joe that were picking bits up and putting in bags, and that's true.
I can remember that. Joe told me that. 5 bags.
Dave, grand youth and all, you know.
I know he
was. He was a twin. And his brother, they worked at Westhorpe. Well, what they used to do, I think they used to, them machines, I know, as they advanced on, but when they first come in, I think they had to take a foot drum off on Shearer. We had Tripanners at the time, a far better machine altogether. But because it was a cut through and then flip back, empty. Well, that's what they did, but they used to take it, I'm sure they used to take a foot drum, or do something anyway. But he was looking at it, I think he was changing peaks, that's what we were doing. He was changing peaks, weren't he?
Yeah, and he used to set it cable, man, get the flick.
I don't think he did. I don't think he told him to flick it.
No,
and I think now.
But that's what they used to do. And
well, with Shearer, the nose, the picks went in a screw like that.
They did.
Right. So that, well, it was like that actually. So that when it's spun, it was like that, and it used to wind coal on. Well, with Tripanner, they had the drum at front, and it was like that. 2 cutting edges like that, and a gap. And that used to spin round and throw it through gaps. Yeah. And then it had a disc at bottom, because it used to seem like that. So they had a disc at bottom that used to flat cut floor, and then they had a turret at top that used about like that, with all peaks in, that could rise that up and down to where roof were. So, well, they used to set it to where it were and then lock it off.
And machine and Shearer.
Well, I cut that face at Highmoor, 200 and odd yards. Well, you'd have to reckon it up. But Harold was brother-in-law, what time and motion man. Well, when they were just setting off, and they were just putting it into cut, deputy or shot fire at that end had phoned through, we're setting off now. Well, Harold used to book it down the time that we'd set off. Well, I was trained with Did Reynolds, who were a good machine man. Eddie Reynolds used to run that track.
So his father?
Did Reynolds was his father. And it were him that trained me on Tripanner. And he said to me, "Be keep that top turret, Sam, that far away, put that up." He said, "And they'll not go far round." Because
main part, weren't it?
But they used to say up a time over, if seam gets thinner than machine cut, take the roof before the floor. Because the floor's stone and the roof is like shale. If you take the stone, they'll charge us 2 shillings a ton. they'll knock it off at 2 shilling a ton. Well, when they're talking about thousands a ton in wheat, adds up, doesn't it? So he says, if seam comes lower, make sure it flows there, take it out at roof. But we never had to, because it, you know, there was only one time it went thin, it was when we were hand filling. But, and did show me how to do it. He says, set off, Sam, half a right on. He says, let it get into cut. He says, and then take half the rights off and pull the flitting gear in. I've never seen that like it. I get into cut, full length, so it couldn't bounce back, the machine couldn't shift. And it in cut, I take safe at rights off, pull flitting handle over, don't see him jump. It could only travel at 21 foot empty when the flitting bike. He were a Scotsman, he were a fitter, come off of Castle Hill. But I'm on it one day and he's coming through. I said, hey, what they doing? He said, I've got to make the machine what it's doing, Sam. I said, how's to do that? He says, well, what I do, I put a chalk mark on cable and I put, check for a minute. He said, I put a chalk mark on cable. When minute comes up, I put it on pan. Yeah. He says, and then I follow it up. And when minute comes up, I put a chalk mark on pan. With that. He says, and then I measure between both chalk marks. And that tells me how fast the machine's cutting. It could flit at 21 foot a minute. That's fast as it could go. Does I know how much it was doing? 19 foot a minute.
Was that cutting?
In full cut. And Freddie Owen, what deputy, and I'd stopped it. Took. The knows when that happened. They made it so they took handle out, put it in the pocket. Nobody could touch it then. And I'm getting on to drum. He says, what they doing? I said, I'm changing pigs. They're not. I said, I am. He said, they're not. They're going. I said, I'm not. I'm changing pigs. I said to Chuck Cresswell, go in gate, Chuck, and get a bag of pigs, get a box of pigs. And he come back. I said to him, I'm in charge of this machine, not thee. I said, and them pigs aren't changing, they're blunt. I said, has they ever tried to cut out with a blunt saw? I said, it's donkey work. I said, when they put a new blade in, they're going like that. I said, do you listen to that when them new picks get in? And I put new picks in, chucked all others because you send them back, put new tips on them. Yeah. Chucked them all, wind it up, set it going. They could hear it tearing at it. If you put it on, they're shoving coal back on because they were putting that much on. Marvellous machine. Them shearers couldn't hold a candle to them. No. And I said, they had one come to the park, you know, Smedley, what? Remember it. Right. They put it on, they couldn't drive it. And I said, me and Jeff, and Bri with it, I said, I've got papers for that. I'll drive it for you. To Smedley. He says, no, they won't. I said, well, I'll drive it for you. I said, and then I can train them. No, they won't. And you know what they did? They sent it back out at Pip, brought a shearing for them. And the shearer went in the same street as them. No. But, all right. Well, they were going into Pfeiffer. Yeah. They were going on that left-hand side. they decided not to do it, and yet they were 5 foot of good coal at bottom at drift. Within 10 minutes, that coal would have been off that face on that pit top. Because they were at bottom main drift. There were one on the other nose where they left a pillar of coal and they're going on. That were in there, and this unit's coming up. Well, I'm trying to think of his name. Manager. Short, dumpy bloke. Anyway, as they come in with this unit up here, they're going to link it to that one to make it longer, right? But this one's in front. This one's coming up here like that. So as it's coming and they're extending face, it's getting nearer to here. They'd done a little bit of ripping. Dennis, come out of that tailgate, Dennis cuts on it and he'd put it on. He'd come out at tailgate to link into this tailgate, right? So the wall's coming like this and this gate's getting shorter. And they'd only put wooden props up. Well, Smedley sent us, me and Jeff, to put that for our bride come, I think. Anyway, we went to put some girders up to hold it, because I can't, what was his name, that damn manager? He says, what are you going to do when you've got them up? I says, see all them crawley pans there, because they're all stacked up. I says, we're going to shift them and lay them out flat, all the way up gate. So when he comes through with that Dosco, he'll be able to traverse all them. No, he said, no, you've no need to do that. Right? I said, well, what are you going to do? We'll see to that. What did he do? Gates coming out like this, of course. Me and Jeff, we're putting these where it's going to come through, legs up to arches. You know what we're doing? It were only shearing, but there knows that plates used to be in with 4 belts, eh? They're only pinging off like bullets. Weight were coming on and shoving arches down and plates for shearing belts. That's the truth, that. And there knows when he comes through, he was that wet Dosco. So they laid pans then down. When they put Dosco on it, they're only 6-inch short top. That's the truth, that. That's the management you got. Well, we could have had them on tram and gone to end, then it would have been clear. But they got to, and I can imagine steel tracks on steel pans. It was going out, weren't it? We come back out. I come back from Norfolk. We went to Eymoor. Jeff come out of Marines, and he went back in pit. So we both went up there. We couldn't get him. Don't let us go on face. He said, "That's lost the position to me. That beltman, you can't. I said, "What about getting back on wall? You've lost your place." So we went to Kiverton. They were going to give us an house, because we both, I was with my mum. No, I was with her mum. Jeff was living with my mother, with family. Went to Kiverton. Oh, yes, you'll be straight on face. You'll do your 20 days, and there's house a piece for you. So we went back to Eymoor. Where going on? I said, they're going to give us an house. And I'm going on face and he's going on and all. We're doing 20 days. We get to him on Friday. Had a letter from, I get in, mother-in-law says, you've got a letter come from Renshire Park. And I read it. So I go down to my mother. I said, has that a letter from Pitt? He said, from Park? He said, we've got to go down and see him. So I took him down, because he hadn't got a car. I took him down and we saw Townie. And he set us both on. And Jeff went on belts and I went, there market, on market. They could go anywhere. If they were short of man, they could go anywhere, wouldn't they? Well, I'm living at Pitt because I got out, and it was Sunday afternoon at around 15s, and wait to come and plant chalks. They were having to get them out because you couldn't get rams up. He said, wait to come and shoved them right down. And I'm working and boy hunting them. And it was Sunday. And manager come through town, he was area manager, with group manager. And he says to me, they're spending some time at Pitt since they've come back. I says, I need money. I said, I need an house and all. I said, but I've put in for that one at top at Pitt Yard, but I don't know whether I'll get it. He says, I've got it. That's what he said. And I got it. And we moved in there. Our Jeff got one on Derbyshire. And then I'm in garden one day, and Townie come out, and he saw me, and he come across, because he got to come across that bit, and then Dumper Road, didn't he? And he says, I want you to pick a team, 3 men, 2 men, and form a 3-man team. I says, I'll have our Jeff. He says, they can't. He's not face trained. I says, he is. He only wants a 20-day refresher. Where I made biggest mistake, I should have said, I'll train him. And then he would have come on to full money with me. But he went with Brian Greaves and did his month in Doscoe. And then he come. And then that's when we started doing all work that I wanted to do. We used to blow them chimneys out the nose. They were 4 foot square. And they were 4 foot. Well, when they had weight on, naturally it weren't 10 foot high. So we had to blow up, get tape, and take it to the top, and from there to the top of all had got to be 22 foot. Because area men, borer, when they reared it up, it had got to have enough room. They knows how to drill down, then pull it back out. Well, it had got to have enough room when they pulled it out, so it didn't hit top. And what I used to do, I used to blow it out, and then I used to get a piece of 4-inch girder and roof bolt it into the top. So put a clamp on it, so if borer got stuck, they could pull this on it and pull it out. And does you know, I worked up that hole, and those road sleepers, they were about that wide, that thick, weren't they? And about, just 3 or 4 foot long, weren't they? I used to chip side out, stake it like that, and he used to stand on that and bore it and chop it out. That's true. Well, our Brian did 12 years at Imowa, so he was 4 years after I left. He come 4 years after I left. And then when he come, we formed that 3-man team. But up to that, there only me and Jeff did it. We went to 52's main gate. We get to the pit. You've got to go to 52's main gate. They were working. Main gate's coming. Right lane, what deputy? We go, I did come in. You know what happened? They gone over and now working. It was now junction, it was locked, and they gone over it. And this had caved in, filled hole, and then it come out at the top to fill this hole. That one. That there, what we were working in, went down and filled all had come down there, and then this roof come around and filled that hole in. And we had to go, and we sorted that out. And then we put a pack on. I couldn't put that shed in it. And down those packs had to be solid, didn't they? But what we did, we built a face wall up about that thick. Reg Lane says, that pack's got to be solid. I said, I want Denny to fill that. I said, we've put this up so that when they come next time, it can't go. It'll hold it, and then it'll get thicker as they go. I said, we all right with thee, Reg. We were doing a bad piece again down Main Plain, and we had to put these girders up. And what it were, clag at side of the road were like that, and belt and lads had stacked them. And we went to get this here, we get 4x4 girder off. And Jeff's there, and I'm at this end. We took lock come on, didn't it? Smashed my foot, broke my foot, yeah.
Remember that.
And I were off with that, but they were shutting them then. I mean, it were over. And I were off work, and when I went back, they were down in Piper, but they were going on a gate and weight were coming on, and I, Jeff and Bry, were putting small arches in between existing and what was the name of that bucket?
Anko.
Now we well that dint header, yeah. That there it was on a bucket, a shovel like a JCB, but that wide. Well, they got one there and they're digging out to get an oil to put out. I said, what are you doing? What they're on about? I said, wherever are you doing that for? The machine there stood. And they hadn't used it because they were all under belt. So what I did, I got on the machine and I cleaned all under belt, right up to where they were then I started digging out set arches. It was only a day or so after. They'd lowered it to 50, hadn't they? And it was our turn to go. Every quarter of an hour, they went in and out. And I went in there, and this kid up back, he's writing, talking to me as he's writing. And I'm looking at him, and I think, I've done more years in pit than there I rode, and there can't get shut of me fast enough. And I'm there looking at him, and he says, is that all right, Miss Oates? I said, it most certainly is. Give them here. And Billy gave me them papers. I walked down that yard. I give me checks in. I walked into the baths. I emptied my mucky locker, emptied my cleaning. I gave him my cage. And I walked up that yard and I never even looked back. And I've never looked down that yard. Any time I go past that pit, I never looked at it. I walked up that pit yard and I thought, well, all that for this. And I looked at my hands and I said, whatever I've got them, I'll survive.
Exactly.
And I never got another job. I was living on my own anyway, way here. And I thought, I've never claimed halfpenny off at state, never. I were on £300 and odd a week at pit, and when I finished, I was on £62 a week pension. And that's the truth. I went from £300 and odd a week, then, in 1986, down to £62. I was claiming off my pension. And I never claimed anything off a state. I thought, I've got this place here, and I thought, I'll live off of that. I won't find a better team of men. Never. I mean, they're never left anybody.
Never.
No. That's why I joined rescue and all. Bri, I tell you, Brenny. And now, Christ, could I imagine being down there trapped? Eh? Where I tell they all used to sing. I mean, if they're singing, they're happy, aren't they? I mean, all right, but you'd have fallouts, like, I mean, everybody has a bit of a good line again, don't they? But I mean, it was soon forgot. You could not have wished for a better team of men. Because you must realise we're all in the same boat. There are only two ways down that pit. Through that shaft, up tech, which was return there, or intake, down main gate. That's where they used to wind coil out there, weren't it? And there were only 6 men could get on that cage. So imagine if out had happened, and all them men, 80 or 90, coming off a shift in that pit bottom, and only 6 could get on it. But, yeah, they were a good team of men. They were. I mean, of course, like, they got trapped, you carried them out, you looked after them.